The King's Beard. Written and illustrated by Mary Tozer. Long ago there lived a king called Bibo the Unruly, who was very fond of playing practical jokes. His poor jester suffered more than anyone, from hedgehogs in his bed to having his shoes nailed to the floor. The castle musicians one day found soapy water in their instruments. Even Duchess Dilly lived in fear ever since she found 2 white mice in her sewing box. And once, when the king was supposed to be at a very important meeting, his ministers found him merrily skating over a sea of spilled polish. Another time, he slid down the royal banisters right onto his prime minister. But King Bibo was soon to be taught a lesson. Keeping watch over the castle was an old gnome, and he had received so many complaints about the king, especially from the jester, that he thought it time something should be done. He came across His Majesty in the garden, about to lob a mud pie at a row of sunflowers.
"Stop!" he cried, "or I will cast a spell on you."
"I do not believe in spells or gnomes," said the king.
"We shall see," said the gnome. "For every time you misbehave, your beard will grow."
"Rubbish," snapped the king. Later that day, as he was off to put molasses in the jester's hat, he saw in a mirror that his beard was indeed longer. "Rubbish," he repeated. But soon his beard was so long that he called for the royal barber. It was all to no avail, for the bewitched beard caused every pair of scissors to snap. King Bibo flew into a rage and emptied a jar of shaving cream all over the poor barber. In desperation, he went for a ride to try and escape the spell. He made his horse gallop all the way. After several miles, the horse would gallop no more and came to a sudden halt. King Bibo flew through the air and landed in a very prickly bush. He had to walk all the way home. As he went, he thought of all the nasty things to do to the gnome. Because he was so grubby, he had to have a bath, and he was not very fond of baths. He did not realize just how long his beard had grown until he slammed the castle doors in a temper and his beard caught behind them. After much tugging and pulling, he was finally freed and went tumbling across the courtyard. As his beard grew longer and longer, he needed several pages to hold it. He even had a row of pages to carry it behind him when he went to bed. They would carefully brush his beard and curl the end onto a chair. One night, as he settled down to sleep, he had an idea.
Tomorrow, the royal woodsman can chop off my beard with his great axe. That will do the trick."
But oh, what a surprise he had when he woke up. His beard had grown so much it filled the room. The castle mice thought it great fun. King Bibo began to sob aloud. At that moment, the gnome appeared.
"Well," he said, "are you going to start behaving as a king should?"
Bibo gulped an apology and looked so very miserable that the gnome clapped his hands, and the room was instantly filled with little workmen snipping away at the king's beard. In a short while, they had filled all their sacks. King Bibo was so delighted he danced a jig in his nightshirt. The following morning, the royal heralds blew their trumpets, and it was announced that everyone should have a holiday. King Bibo said the best holidays were by the seaside, so he lent his royal coaches for the journey. As he paddled in a rock pool, he said to his jester, "Do you think everyone is happy now?" "Oh, yes," said the jester. "Well, almost everyone." And with a cheeky grin, he handed King Bibo a cucumber sandwich with just a little too much pepper in it. The end.